Today, we're diving into a really personal and honestly an incredibly uplifting story from a woman named Glenda Monett. It's all about her journey through the kind of grief that's almost impossible to imagine, and how she found not just hope, but a whole new kind of connection.
Yeah, Glenda starts with a feeling that's it's a nightmare for any parent. But here's the thing, this isn't just a story about loss. It's really about what can happen after. It offers this incredible sense of reassurance that maybe, just maybe, the connections we hold so dear are never really gone.
So let's set the scene. Our story begins with Glenda, who has just suddenly lost her son Ryan. And compounding this tragedy is the fact that Ryan was joining his sister, Brandy Christine, who had passed away 19 years earlier. So for Glenda, this was just a tidal wave of grief all over again.
And that grief, well, it was completely overwhelming. She describes being totally isolated, just couldn't face the world, couldn't join her meetings, couldn't see anyone. She was just swallowed by her sorrow. But it's right here, from this place of total darkness, that her story takes a turn you would never expect.
Okay, so here's where things get really fascinating. You see, even though they were physically separated, Glenda and her son Ryan had built this unique spiritual foundation together, and it was this foundation that allowed their relationship to continue in a way that's, well, it's pretty extraordinary.
So, what was this foundation? Well, it was a program called Angelic Attendant Training, or AAT. Both Glenda and Ryan had gone through it. It's all about sharpening your intuition and your connection to the divine. And Ryan absolutely loved it. He even called it the best decision I've ever made. This shared spiritual language, this thing they both understood so deeply, turned out to be the bridge between them after he was gone.
And that brings us to the first, well, you could call it a miracle. This is the moment that changes everything. It's the turning point that snaps Glenda out of that deep, dark grief and opens up this whole new channel of communication with her son.
Okay, so you got to picture this. After weeks of being completely shut in, Glenda finally musters the strength to log into one of her AAT meetings on Zoom. And she's just sitting there on the call when suddenly she sees her on-screen name just change, all by itself. And what does it change to? One simple word: Mom.
Now, for Glenda, this was undeniable. See, Ryan was her tech-savvy son, her tech guy, and he always called her Mom. In that one single moment, all that crushing, paralyzing grief, it was just replaced by this incredible feeling of exhilaration. This wasn't some random computer glitch. To her, this was the start of a whole new, exciting relationship with her son.
And that Zoom call? That was just the beginning. It was like it opened up the floodgates. It started a series of events that, for Glenda, formed a really clear pattern of communication. And the next example is just as powerful.
So, a little backstory. Ryan had always dreamed of being a pilot, but he couldn't because he had seizures. So instead, he had this flight simulator that he just loved. After he passed away, it sat there, untouched, until it started lighting up on its own. And it kept happening after she'd get out of the sauna, while she was on her inversion table, and get this, it even lit up at the exact moment she was writing the story down to share with everyone.
And here is the detail that convinced Glenda this was absolutely intentional. On 2 separate occasions, when that simulator lit up, it stayed on for precisely 21 minutes and 21 seconds. I mean, come on, how random is that? It felt less like a coincidence and more like a signature.
And hearing it in Glenda's own words, you can just feel the power of that moment. The lights shining weren't just a sign from Ryan, they were a sign of Ryan. It was this beautiful picture of him finally getting to fly, a message of pure joy.
So when you put all these signs together, what's the big takeaway? For Glenda, it led to a complete and total transformation. It shifted her entire understanding of grief and, honestly, of life and death itself.
And this contrast just says it all, doesn't it? She went from being completely consumed by sorrow to waking up every single day filled with anticipation and this incredible joy. She wasn't just mourning a loss anymore, she was celebrating a connection that was still very, very active in her life.
And this is the powerful conclusion she came to. Through all these messages from her children, both Ryan and Brandy Christine, Glenda came to believe with all her heart that the place they are now isn't a place of sadness. It's a place of pure, unimaginable love and joy. That was the ultimate affirmation she received.
Glenda's story really leaves us with a powerful question to think about, doesn't it? It challenges us to wonder, what if death isn't really an ending? What if it's just a transformation of a relationship? What if the love we share and the bonds we make really do transcend the physical world? It's just an incredible message of enduring hope.